Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the IDPAC Talk Show, a midweek edition. Today, we are happy to have Yulan, good friend of ours. Welcome to the show. It's nice to see you. And our topic for today is simple. It is navigating divorce and child custody. So we're going to have Yulan share experience, how much she wants to share. Not going to try to get too personal, but feel free to share whatever you feel like sharing, and then we'll have a conversation. Again, if you are willing to join, you are more than welcome to. You can request to come online, or you can leave your comments on the comment section. We'll be happy to address them. If you have any questions for Yulan, she'll be happy to address them as well. So just be respectful in the comments. That's all we ask for. And if you can please like and share the video, it's going to go a long way. Thank you again, Yulan. Thank you for your patience. It's been, technical difficulties, but we're here. So good. Can you take a few moments to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, Asan and Roderick, for having me. When you talk about introduction, what do you want me to say? My
Your
name is
name,
Yulan.
your age,
My age?
Any,
maybe not,
anything you want to share, Yolanda.
maybe not the
That's
age.
all.
Yeah, what you do. What are your interests? Anything you feel comfortable sharing.
Oh, okay. My name is Yulan Sadat. I'm a mother of three, and I'm a social worker. I work for Child and Family Services.
Yeah, nice. So you're currently based in the city of Calgary,
Yes.
where we all are. Yes, nice to have you again. Yeah. So we're here to talk about divorce. As on the angle, or
So again, this conversation is more of a follow up of a conversation we had on Sunday, because on Sunday we had conversation. We talked a little bit about the divorce statistics in Canada, and some of the reasons why people happen to find themselves in situations like that, right? So I think now we're acknowledging that yes, this is an issue. Now we're acknowledging that yes, this is something that is happening all around us in our community, in the city, generally
yeah,
speaking. And then we thought, why leave the conversation at just identifying the reasons why people get separated? Why not talk about what divorce does on the couple, the two individuals in concern, how divorce affects kids if that relationship had children as well. And then again, again, this is a conversation that I had with Yolande before the show, was more or less, how do we go through a divorce process in a way that both parents could be separated but be able to co-parent their children, right? And
yeah.
again, some of the intricacies around divorce. I don't know where we want to start. Where do you think, what would it
Okay,
be a good place to start?
maybe we start. How long were you married for?
I
Asan, I don't want to talk about
let's
myself here.
let's talk
I
about
just
the
want.
Okay,
generalities.
the
I think that's
generalities.
what we want
Okay,
to talk about, the
okay, yeah,
generalities
not
of,
personal.
again, it's
Okay,
not
good.
a personal, it's just generally how do we I
Yeah,
think, I guess the first question is just um being able to acknowledge, because as people from our community, it's not a subject matter that is commonly talked about. It's not something that we think happen often.
right.
And again, I think the interest was because we talked about a topic which is not always very common. And I thought maybe a good place to start would be how do people navigate a relationship when they discover that it's definitely not working and it might end up in a separation. How do we navigate that process? So we are still together, maybe still living in the same house, but we definitely know that this marriage is over or will be over at a certain point. How do we manage a relationship while we are working on a separation or on a divorce? I think that might be a good place to start.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that When I listened to you guys last week, I think it was a very important topic that you guys raised. And I think that we've gotten to a point where we don't want to keep belaboring the fact why do people get divorced, because we all know. And the reasons are different for different families. You know what I mean? What works for A does not work for B. But for sure, we know the bottom line. Most of these things will resolve about finances, greed, jealousy, family intervention, friends, and all of those things. So the dynamics is usually very different. But again, we all know, and our social location is one of the reasons where
Right.
we as immigrants or as Africans or as Cameroonians who've left Cameroon, but yet we want to absorb the new culture in Canada. But again, we don't want to let go of the things that we are preview to when we were back home. So those of all of these things, I think, in my opinion, and based on research, and also as a social worker, what I see going to people's homes, and I get those. But now it is there is an increase in the rate of divorce in our community, and our community is going big, is going large. So what I find more interesting is more about for those relationships that has hit rock bottom, where we already know, as some said, that
Right.
there is no way we can fix this. How do we navigate this in a less conflictual manner? How do we do it in a way that we respect our partners so that we can be able to co-parent amicably for the interest of our children? I think
Right.
these are the things that I've kind of reflected on, and I think our community needs to be aware of. And also, when we've gotten to that level, how do we navigate the legal system? How do we divorce in a process where we don't enrich the lawyers? Because we as immigrants, we are making money. We've come here to make money. We don't want to throw the money away. In
Right.
fact, I'm giving your money to a lawyer. You better take care of your family back in Cameroon.
Yeah.
So I see that, and yes, there is a way we can do it without necessarily going to the lawyers and exposing our dirty leniency outside and making them, the lawyer will only do what you've asked them to do, because that is their job and
Right.
they are there to make money.
Right.
So these are the things that I thought were very important that we could
Agree.
bring as a follow up to your conversations last week.
Right. Very
Perfect.
important. Right.
Sounds good. So how do we, again, like we said, we know the relationship isn't working. How do we start having that conversation to say, hey, this is not working. We need to start talking about how we can be apart but still be good to each other and be good to add to the kids that we have. Again, in the case where people, it's easier if they are not children. You go and I go my way. But when kids are involved, both parents need to prepare and plan themselves. How do we start having that conversation? I think it's probably important to kind of know who starts the conversation, right? Too, right? So because those are difficult conversations to have. How do you tell a woman that I'm not into you anymore, and I think we should move apart, right? Those are difficult conversations to have.
I think that the truth is, we all know the truth in our relationships, but we hide it because of fear
Right.
of the unknown. Marriage is something that, don't get me wrong, it's a very beautiful thing. Like, I love marriage. I was married for almost 10 years. You know what I mean? So I've had the good, the bad, the ugly in marriage, and I believe everybody has experienced that. It's a very good institution if you guys are working together. I mean, it feels fulfilling to come back to meet a partner and you share your challenges and you guys, and you grow, you make things together work. But when it gets to that level where it is not going, it's let's before we even go there, let's talk about the impact of being in a relationship where it's not even working.
Right.
Like, let's talk about the impact on both the couple and the children. I understand, as a woman, or as most women, we are scared of the unknown. For those of us that had children or have children, 1, 2, 3, you're like, the economy is so hard. How do I navigate? How do I move on? And these are things that are really happening in our community because
Right.
the challenges are there. It is there. And they have the reason to be scared of. But again, what is the other side of it? How does it impact your health?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? Where do you seek the support for refuge? This applies to both the man and the woman. The
Right.
men are scared of child support. How am I going to pay this woman child support? It's too much. We have 3, 4, 5 children. But
Yeah.
again, we have to be sure of what we want.
Right.
You know, as a couple, how does it affect you? Mentally, it affects you a great deal. Some
Yeah.
people are more tolerant, some people are not. How do you assess yourself? People are in, I know people are in their homes, they live separate lives. They are couples, but they live separate lives in different rooms. Mom sleeps in the room, dad sleeps there. You know, the
Yeah.
children are saying it, the children express it to their peers. It affects them mentally. Some children are more outspoken. Some children will say it to their teachers, some will say it to their peers. Some children, it will reduce their confidence. You
Yeah.
know, these are some of the impact that it affects our children. For those parents that have a close relationship with their children, they hear those things.
Yeah.
And for those parents who are not experienced or who don't have the professional skills to tell the children or to be able to tell them what they can understand based on their age, it doesn't help any. It
Yeah.
doesn't help neither the parent or the child.
Right.
So let's think about the consequences on the child and as a couple as well. You know
Right.
what I mean? In terms of the couples, you can't move forward. You're stuck. Men
I
start
feel
cheating,
stuck. Yeah.
dating other women, here and there, everywhere,
Yeah.
they leave the house, they don't want to come back. Oh, I don't want to go back to that house. It's wahala. You know what I mean? So they'll spend money in the bars, making noise and all of those things.
They
So
don't want to
it
go
has an
home.
impact. Some people will be like, I'm only here for the children. So how does it impact us as couples and as children?
Right.
That's also very important.
I
So,
don't know.
but again, this is very subjective, which means
Yeah.
that every individual will make that decision based on what they want and their surrounding circumstances. So that's one thing that we need to know. Then,
Right.
in terms of going back to your question, Ason, how do we start that conversation? The reality is always there, but we deny it.
Right.
We have to be very truthful to ourselves. What do I want? What do you want, Ason? I don't want this woman anymore.
Isn't that not to cut you short? Isn't that such a difficult question to ask, particularly when you're going to divorce? And divorce is one typical example where there is a thin line between love and hate, and suddenly things become very contentious, and even between people who used to love each other. So, how do you even start to have that conversation that it's time to separate? And I know because part of it is you're losing the hope that you have for your future. You're losing the hope you have for your children, the hope you have for an intact family. So I don't want us to quickly pass over this issue of having that conversation. Like, how do you even bring it up?
Like seriously, how can you be in a house with your partner and you guys don't talk for like 2, 3 months, 5 months, and you think it's okay?
Yeah, well, that's
And
that's ridiculous.
you
Yeah,
know what I mean? So one
yeah,
person has to be brave.
yeah, yeah.
Like, and this has been ongoing, and you guys know, like this conversation is for people who have already hit rock bottom.
Right,
Like those people who know that it is not going.
right.
It is not going. This conversation is for those people. For those people who still have limelight in their relationship, please go and work it. Go
Yeah,
for mediation, seek help, be outspoken, talk to people who you trust and who you think can fix your relationship. This is very important. In our community, we keep our things to ourselves because we are scared, we want to keep secrets and stuff like that. We don't know counseling. Honestly, counseling is helpful. A
right.
counselor will not tell you that the fact that the counselor is there doesn't mean that he or she doesn't have a problem in their own house or in their homes. But the fact that the counselor is there, they make you to see, they give you the opportunity to reflect on yourself. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's a very good point to start, where you go back home and have that thought, that mind of reflecting. And if you think that is something that you can fix, then for sure, by all means. So I know our community, we don't like counseling and stuff
yeah.
like that, but I'm recommending that if we don't want to talk to our elders in our community, like, people, respectable people in the community, because we are ashamed, we don't want people to know our privacy and all of those things, or you think that I cannot come and talk to Yolan because Yolan too has a problem in her house, how can she solve my problem when she too is going through her own struggles?
Right.
Those kind of things that we always say, please seek professional help. Go and see counselors. They might be divorcees or whatever, but they will give you that space of reflecting on yourself,
Right.
you and your partner, bringing out the issues that you guys were not seeing.
Yeah.
Then you guys can disagree to agree and fix your relationship.
Even
That's
sometimes just
awesome.
to listening ear, because it's amazing how many people are not listened to.
Mm,
You talk to people and their stories are never heard. Really,
that's right.
a lot of people are unheard in our community, and which is strange because we meet, we laugh, we drink, we talk, but sometimes people don't really feel heard. Like, what are the deepest secret that you're going through? I
Yeah.
think that's one way, and I'm not a big fan of counselors, but I think that's one way that counselors can help.
Yeah. Or we
But
go to our
I
community too.
Oh,
We
I'll
can
come
go
in.
to experience. We have doctors, people that we see as models, right? We
Right.
honor or we like, and we can talk to them. And let's say I have a friend that I respect in the community, or our friend, family friend. We can join them and say, hey, please, this is what is happening. Can you talk to my partner? Can you
Right.
do this? Can you do that?
Yeah.
You know? And they can see into your problem. It doesn't mean that because they are talking to you, they don't have issues in their home. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that
Right.
person that can listen, it's quite helpful, right?
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problem too is the issue of confidentiality, right? You might have a friend who has, she might be your best friend or he might be your best friend, but this friend has a best friend too, right? So I think there's a worry that people share their thoughts and their problems with people that they believe and trust in. But again, there's this element of confidentiality where you don't know where your story goes, right?
Goes.
And I think
Yeah.
that is our biggest problem. You don't know where your story is going. But again, I think I agree with Yolan. I think going to a professional where there is a professional relationship where people are bound by confidentiality with respect to the profession, I think it definitely makes sense. And in as much as I know most of us might be a little hesitant, I have
Right.
talked to people who have sought counseling, couples therapy. They say it works for relationships that could be solved. Yes, it would definitely help. But again, as we all know, some relationships might have gone to the point where we cannot remedy the situation, where the only solution to the couples in question is to, to split. But again, I believe too that even speaking with a professional, both couples might even start having the conversation of, hey, it's this bad. Maybe we should start thinking on how to maybe not fix the marriage, but be able to live apart and be able to respect each other and be able to still be the parents that these kids expect us to be. I think that conversation could start there. It's a safe place for a
Mm-hmm.
conversation like that to happen, where there's no yelling, there's no fear of violence. You're in someone's office, and the setting is the setting in itself gives you the a sense of comfort and confidence, right? Where you could
Yes.
start having that conversation. I think that would definitely be a good place to start. If that is not possible, and depending on the situation, I think both, when people are in a marriage, there are cases where both of you know someone that you trust and respect, both of you. So both couples know someone that you trust and respect. And if you're worried about starting a conversation about splitting up, about divorce, I think you both of you go see someone that you trust and respect, find some place private and start that conversation there. Because sometimes if it's just the two of you at home, who knows how that conversation ends, right? Or who knows how that conversation goes. But if you're in a place with someone that both of you trust and respect, then I think that
Yes.
conversation could easily start, right? And
That's right.
be productive, or not be as emotional or as conflictual as it would be if it were just the two of you having that conversation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to add to what you said, Axel, I think that it gets to a point where we have to accept our realities, like
Right.
accept that this is our situation. I think that by the time we end this conversation, one of the things I will really wish to impact people or our community is the importance of having that mutual conversation with your partner to get what you want. Because at the end of it, both of you know what you want. I know sometimes because of the animosity and the conflict, oh, Yolan is a bad woman. This man is a bad man. We don't want to see our partners, but we should thrive that to get to that point where okay, I have to respect my partner because this is a man I have loved. This is a man I've spent my life with for many years. So I still have to recognize that this is a
Right.
man that is the father to my
The
children.
father of
And
children.
it should, and it should go both ways. The man should acknowledge that the fact that this is the mother of my children. Even if we are no more today, our path will still cross
Right.
till eternity. So we should get to that point where we acknowledge it. Then when we acknowledge it, I think that will give us um the starting point
Mm-hmm.
of saying that, okay, I hate this man, I just hate his God, but I can listen to him. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So we should get to that point where even
Right.
before we go outside to look for help, let's
Mm-hmm.
try to be able to sit down together, even in the midst of our lowest point and our disagreement, and have those difficult
Right.
conversations. And I think it's very important because it helps to clear the path for future conversations. It also helps to create peace, the well-being of yourself as a person, and as and for your children,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you've had children.
Right.
Because when you're stable mentally, and even though you're going through what you're going through, it still
Mm-hmm.
helps you to be able to be a good parent and to be able to settle in life
Right.
and focus on other things.
Mm.
So we should, just to go back to your question again, how do we get to that point of having those
Yeah.
difficult conversations? The first is we need to be truthful to
Right.
ourselves. What do we want? Do you still want the relationship? Okay, I want it. Asam doesn't want it. What do I do?
Yeah.
I give Asam space.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Asam will come around. There's something that is eating him up.
Yeah. Right.
Just give him space. You
Right.
don't have to tarnish his image. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
make it as though he's gonna die because he doesn't want you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No, if he doesn't want you, he doesn't want you. If she
Right.
doesn't want you, she doesn't want you.
Yeah.
Let's get those
Yeah.
conversation and separate amicably. Then, if whatever the future holds, if you think it's something you can come back, fine. If it doesn't come back, but at least you guys have that relationship where you can cooperate amicably, and it's gonna benefit the children.
Yeah. Yeah.
There, there's definitely also something that we talked again. That was pre-show conversation where we talked about how sensitive and how vigilant children are at home, and children
Yes.
are able to identify when their parents are doing well. I mean, I mean, again, if they're a little bit much older, they've seen you as they grow. They know when things are going well. They know when things are not going well. They know when things are really bad, right? You know, you would see a child come to you and ask you, "Daddy, why are you
Are
look
you okay?
upset? Are
Yeah.
you okay?" And then when you try, they say, "But you know, they can really see if you and your wife are sleeping in separate rooms, or you know, there's no communication. Your children definitely
They
see
pick
that.
up on that. Yeah.
They pick up on that." And I think, you know, what I was thinking about is, you know, sometimes, again, this might be a controversial thing to say, but would you want to live in a home as a child? Would you prefer to live in a home where your parents are together but they are not? Or would you prefer that parents live apart and be the best parents that they could be for
Mm-hmm.
you, right? Sometimes I think, you know, if we put ourselves in our children's position, it might make sense to start that conversation early, deal with it, and then turn your focus now on the kids, right? I don't know if any of you have anything to add on that.
Yeah, I think that that's a very good point because what we want to teach our children about marriage is marriage as a community or as an African woman or where we come from. We know that parents share the same room, right? So what are we teaching our children? That parents sleep in different rooms. These children will see that let's say a girl child or boy child knows that, oh, my mom and my dad sleeps, and tomorrow they are sleeping in different rooms. So what's the education we are giving our children?
Right.
Yeah. Is it the
Mm-hmm.
toxicity of marriage?
Mm-hmm.
Or you rather prefer that these parents stay apart and you are aware that my parents are no more, but they are living their good life and they are
Yeah.
taking care of us? So it all depends. And the kids see it, they express it to their friends. I've had a situation in my profession where I have gone to do an investigation, and I when this child expressly told me, and actually she's the one that reported to their teacher that her parents are not together, and mom hit her, so she was not happy, and she said that the mom hit her out of frustration because she just had a fight with dad. So when I dug deep and I realized that the parents have been in separation for more than 1 or 2 years, and that frustration, the least thing that the child does, because the mom now sees the child as all she has. So
Right.
when that child does the least mistake, she just pours out her frustration on that child as though that child is gonna be a failure. But she's just literally, transferring that aggression. So our mental state reflects how we react to our children. And sometimes it might not possibly have good impact on the child.
Right.
And when you go to school, we get them, the teachers will tell you how they interact in school, how their grades are dropping, their social relationship, and all of those things. So I read somewhere that it's better, please, before people start throwing stones at me, but I said that it is better to grow from a broken home than to grow in a broken home. It's
That
Can
is
you
a
can
very
you can you say
powerful.
that again?
It's a
I
very
didn't.
powerful comment.
Well, can you say that again? I didn't catch that.
I know people will kill me, but it's
Oh,
better.
we're still here. They haven't killed us, so you're okay.
It's better to grow from a broken home than to grow in a broken home.
Oh, in a broken home. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it makes sense because yeah, you as a child you experience all the tension daily, and it's your daily reality. You see the parents not talk to each other. You see the parents ignore each other. Sometimes you witness domestic violence,
Violence. And they
and
transfer it to their own relationship and it
it
becomes a
becomes
cycle.
right. It becomes a cycle that you perpetrate.
Mhm.
So, when you sit down to have this conversation, is it? I'm just thinking out there. Is a starting point setting your priorities, like are the kids? How are we going to keep the kids sane and somewhat close to normalcy? How are we going to keep our sanity? So that, like, how do you set a priority? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Isn't isn't the children always the first?
Right,
I would
because
think so.
I assume the children are the first because they are the ones who are really impacted by divorce. Like they are mainly impacted by divorce. I mean, the parents are impacted, but nowhere near as children are, and they don't have an outlet. They don't have a way to articulate how they really feel. We as parents with experience, we've developed the capacity to be able to articulate our feelings some better than others, but children do not have that. So
I,
how yeah.
I know, Ghana. I know that we're talking about children. We're talking about small kids. I've seen adult, grown men who have been unable to manage handle their parents' divorce. I mean, parents have divorced when their
Right.
children have been a lot more older and have struggled. I've seen adult men with children struggle to cope with the divorce of their parents.
Right.
So if you can imagine
That's
how
it.
it affects a grown adult, imagine how a child 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years will take
Yeah.
that, right?
Right. Yeah.
It would be a delicate conversation to
Yeah.
have with it. What do you tell a 10-year-old child?
Yeah.
I think ask the question again. Maybe I didn't get it right. I want to make sure I get your question correctly. What was your question?
No, I think it was Ghana's question. I was just commenting.
Yeah.
Ghana, what was?
Like, okay, how do you set up the stage so that the children have some sort of normalcy?
Um, I think that, and this will based on the individual circumstances,
Mhm.
based on your finances, and based on your family, network and stuff like that. But let's say in a case where you guys are just both of you and you're an average family, I believe that first of all, you want to put the interest of the children
All right.
first. Um, and also it should be noted that both parents are involved are important in children's life.
Mhm.
So let's give each other that opportunity to take their role as a father or as a mother.
Mhm.
Of course, the mothers by nature, by default, mothers are more
Right.
involved than fathers. For
Right.
those fathers who have come up and want to be involved, let the mothers, irrespective of our differences,
Mhm.
let's be amicable and give them that opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's not use the children to fight our battles.
Right.
Let's not do that. So when it comes to that point where we are having that difficult conversation, let's look at the strength of each person. Truth be told, some men are not very good. Our African fathers, we have come and learned here, but some of them are still struggling. When you test yourself as a man, do you think you can literally care for those children? If you think that you want to be involved, but it cannot be hard, it will be hard for you. Decide on who is going to be more of the custodial parent? Who is more involved? Who is more handy? Like, let's use the strength of each partner
This one, yeah.
to for the interest of the children. That, like, it would now depend on the relationship and how you guys want to do it. I know sometimes out of in the society in which we are, men will want to go for 50-50 just because they want to avoid child support, and all of those things. But again, they don't have the capacity to care for those children. So in that case, how do we navigate that as a couple between us? And honestly, for you to get to this level, you have to be more mature. And one thing I want to say is couples should stop listening to others. Don't listen to people, because at the end of it, when you sleep on your bed, it is you who will drink your Tylenol and you will cry your eyes out on your pillow.
Right.
People will tell you, oh, go to court, go to this, go to that, go to that. The process is, first of all, very mentally draining. The system is, first of all, very complex. So if there's anything you can do to take away that stress from you, please do it. And how do you do it? Conversation, open conversation. Forget about, my friend told me that, oh, don't give him that thing. Oh, child support, child support. Yeah, child support, we need it for sure. We have to care for these children. But you cannot take water out of a rock.
Right.
But again, that you have to pay your child support based on what you can afford. So it's a two-way thing. So how do we make sure that in our challenges or in our conversations, how do we put the interest of the kids?
No.
We want to make sure that whatever decision we are making, nobody should be there to cheat each other, because that is where another conflict will come out.
Yeah.
How do we put the interest of the children, but yet we want to thrive in our differences? So I think that's more about a conversation with the couple
Mhm.
based on their surrounding circumstances.
So now, how do you now the parents have rea- gotten to the point where they've made this realization, they've had the conversation, and they agree that, hey, this is what needs to happen. Now, how do we bring that conversation to our kids? Most of us have younger kids, I don't know, 12 and below. I know there are lots of people older kids, but let's take 12 and below. How do you tell a 10 or 12-year-old child? How do you, I don't know if it, well, I think probably both parents should, but how do you get your kids to a place where you start having that conversation? What do you tell them? What do you tell them, Ghana? What do you tell your 5-year-old if that was the case, Ghana?
Well, Yolanda is a professional, so I don't know what to say. I'm not experienced the worst myself. But I
It
think you have to be truthful with them. Just tell them, mommy and daddy are going their separate ways, and we want to let
Yeah.
you guys. And it's very important to articulate it that is not their fault, because it seems to me that children seem to take this burden on their shoulders, that it is my fault that mommy and daddy are separating. I think it's important to articulate it to them that it is not your fault. It's nothing that you did or did not do that's making mommy and daddy separate. I imagine that's where you start, and then you tell them you're gonna love them the most you can. I don't know. Maybe Yolan can make some shade.
I think it's definitely probably a matter of reassurance or
There's a lot of
assurances to your kids.
reassurance.
Hey, it's not your fault. That mom and dad, have different ideas about how they want to live their life. We would definitely continue to love you. This is a plan. I think you definitely should have a plan.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what is going to happen. This is where you're going to be. This is who you're going to be with.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to do it. You would see me as often as you want. You can call me. Because again, I think the biggest problem for kids is getting a feeling that they are going to lose one of their parents.
Right.
I think that is, especially if the kids are fond of both parents.
Well,
If there are children who are fond of a particular parent, they probably wouldn't care a lot. But if they are fond of both parents, there's definitely a feeling that one parent is going to get lost. So
it's also an issue of children seeing in front of them the world that they have imagined crumble in front of them, because the parents are the representation of the world to the children, that the eyes, the lens through which the children see the world,
right.
that the archetype of the world to them. That's how they experience the world. So it's like your world crumbling in front of you, It's like everything you know about the world, that the man is supposed to meet a woman and are supposed to stay forever. It begins to crumble down. And for me, that's really devastating.
Yeah,
And
it is. It
yeah,
is.
maybe you want to come in. Yeah.
Well, I think it's devastating because, first of all, a whole lot of things will change. The
Right.
dynamics will change, the location, the house, and everything. All of those things will change. But just like you said, I think that we have to let them know. But what I really struggle with is when to tell them and how to
Mhm.
use age appropriate words so they can understand.
Mhm.
And every child is different. There's some children that are more strong minded. There are some children that are more emotional. So I think you have to understand the emotional state of your child to be able to break that news to them. Some children are more emotional. So you just have to find a way of telling them in a way that
Yeah.
will not look so serious, but again passing that information. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's
No,
we need to tell them.
you need to tell them. Yeah.
Yeah, but how to tell them? The way you tell child A is not the way you
No.
tell child
Try
B,
there. Right.
depending on their emotions. And some children are more attached, and it's really gonna break them. Before I forget, there's something that also came up that I just thought about. As parents, we should not you talk about our partner to our
Oh, yeah,
children.
partner. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. So let's say I have a fight with my husband and um oh, your daddy's a bad man, your daddy
It's-
did this, your daddy
yeah.
did that,
Yeah.
oh your mom, after everything I did to your mom is very ungrateful,
Right.
your mom did this to me, your mom is a bad woman. Those things are not important because at the end of it, these children will grow up and they will see for themselves
Right.
who was bad and who was good, and they'll be able to make their decisions. And let's be mindful that whatever thing we tell them, they will grow, and they are picking from they are our mirror.
Right.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
reflect
reflection of
us to
you,
the
right?
yes. So we should be very careful what we tell our children and how we want them to see the world, especially in a complex world where um, the world is governed by social media. And I think
Mhm.
that's some topic that we need to bring up one day, the impact of
Yeah.
social media in marriages.
Oh, yeah.
That's also a very important topic. So yeah, I think yeah, it's just about being able
Yeah.
to understand how your child is and when to tell your child.
How do you prevent revenge from getting to your mind so that you don't have this poisonous way of talking to your children to badmouth your partner?
It's very hard,
It
honestly.
is hard.
Especially it is hard, especially if you're really bitter.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very tough journey, and honestly it's hard. You need to be more mature to get to that level.
Right.
You always have to tell your mind that honestly, I get it, but again, it has no impact on the children. The mom can be a bad mom or a bad wife or a bad husband, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he's a bad dad or he's a
And
bad
worry. Yeah.
mother.
Yeah.
So we have to take that away.
I mean, it really, even
It's so
if he was
hard.
a terrible dad, is it? I mean, is it fair for you to tell a child how terrible their father is? Like,
Yeah.
what impression are you leaving about even about yourself, passing that information to your child? Yes, at a certain age, your child would figure things out. If you lied, they will know that you lied, right? And then it definitely affects the relationship. But I definitely I agree with I agree 100%. Those are not conversations that your children should be hearing. No
Right.
matter how terrible
Well,
this individual
it
is,
is.
it's
But
not a conversation for children.
I think it's more than conversations. It is your facial expression. It is the size that you make. It is the backhand comments that you make. So it's not really direct words. It's the way you
Mhm.
look at each other with with such
Contempt.
viciousness, such contempt. So for some reason, I think maybe controlling or not saying those things are easy. But what are the non-verbal expressions that
Mhm.
these children are picking up? I think that'll be more difficult to manage than the, because I would say today I'm not talking. That's fine, but
But you're not
then you
talking, but
are
you're doing 1,000
you
other things. That
yeah.
even is worse than
It
talking,
wasn't
right?
talking. It's breaking glasses in the house. It's breaking the TV. It's not feeding your kids. It's not taking them to school. It's so there are other non-verbal things that I think are more important that the children catch up on. You know,
Mhm. It's not. It's not. Yeah. Again, it's not about what you say. It's sometimes it's the things that you do or
sometimes
the things that
it's
you omit.
easier. Yeah,
It,
it's easier to shut up and not say anything. But children pick up on those non-verbal cues, and I think in my experience, those are more difficult to hide. You know, they see when mom is angry, when dad is angry. They see where dad has not eaten,
Mhm.
or dad receives a call from mom and they know it's mom and his mood changes. They pick up on that. You know, you don't have to say a word, but children will pick up on anything.
Yeah. And the children also see who is more supportive of them. The
Right.
children see.
They do it.
They see.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Mom is always taking me to school. Daddy picks me up. Who buys me more stuff? Who
Mm-hmm.
does this? Who does
Mm-hmm.
that? Who takes me to to play dates and all of those things? They see it. They see it. They know who to go to
Right.
for whatever thing they need. So the
Maybe.
children are
Yeah.
important.
They do. Okay. Maybe we'll get to the how do we as parents now get into a new stage where we can, start to some level that is more amicable, that is not contentious.
I guess the question is, can we have a cordial relationship after divorce? Can we, as couples, have a relationship
Mhm.
cordial? I guess
Yeah,
that's the word you want to
that,
use
that
after we separate. Again, easier said than done, because
easier
again,
said than
in
done.
most
Right.
cases, separations are, are difficult, and again, depending on the individuals, it could be harder for one person than the other, right? So yeah, I think it's a legitimate question to ask if parents could, not friends. I don't want to use the word friends. There's no point.
You can
You
be friendly to each other without being
friendly,
friends.
right? But not friends. But again, be cordial enough to co-parent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is definitely, that is, well, I mean, you don't have a choice. It's possible in the sense that you have 4 or 5 kids. You Both of you are parents. Both of you have an obligation to parent. No matter how you hate the other, or no matter how you're disappointed with the other parent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these 3 children are not going to parent themselves.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think I'm asking a deeper question in the sense that how do you manage Christmas dinner? How do you manage Easter dinner? How do you manage visiting grandparents or attending a marriage of a mutual friend or the baptism of a mutual friend? All those are the tiny nitty gritties of things that you have to, if you're in a contentious divorce or even just a,
The
friendly divorce.
separation, even
Yeah,
even if it
even
wasn't.
you have to start thinking about those in a deeper way that you don't think about it when you guys are still together in a relationship. Yeah. So how do you do that, Yola?
Communication.
Communication.
I know we say it every time. Communicate.
Yeah.
Again,
Um,
that's another thing that's easier said than done too. Sorry, you go ahead.
I think that if the divorce was well managed, then
Managed,
it would
right?
be easy to co-parent. That is
Yeah.
why it is always recommended to have to reduce conflict during divorce. And one of the things to do is mediation, open communication, have that mutual respect for each other. You
Mm-hmm.
know, not because you're in disagreement with Yolande today, you're gonna, you want to wish her dead, or I'm in
Mm-hmm.
disagreement with my partner today, I want to wish him dead. No, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work that way. At the end of it, the fact that both of us it didn't work with us doesn't mean that I'm a bad person or you're a bad person. We just did not click, and we should acknowledge that. But again, how do we, in our differences, but yet be best co-parents to be able to care for our children? So if the divorce was handled maturely or well, it would be very easy for you
Mm-hmm.
to co-parent. It shouldn't be that tough. And it also gives you stability, because when people like divorce, like when it's very high conflict, like it's mentally draining.
It is the
First
journey.
of all,
Yeah.
this is a lifetime relationship that nobody get into marriage thinking that they're gonna divorce the next day.
No.
Right.
Nobody wants that. So it's first of all something that is gonna have an impact on you. Oyibo people that they take 1 year stress leave for work just for go through divorce.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it is tough. It
It's
is
tough.
tough. It is tough. So how do you avoid that? And
Mhm.
one of the ways to avoid it is, as we have said, we can't be labeled on this point anymore. Have those conversations, seek support. If you think that you guys cannot, let's meet people who we trust.
Right.
Let's go for mediation. Mediation too, there's professional mediation, and those things are cheap. You can go based
The
on your
check. Huh?
income.
Okay.
Yeah, based on your income. We are in Calgary. It's there in the court. There's mediation services. It's better to do mediation than arbitration. Like it's and that's another topic for another day, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For today, probably. How do we go through divorce without enriching our lawyers?
Yeah.
That's another very important.
No,
We're gonna get to that. And
no,
we have
no offense to lawyers, but you
we
can make money
don't
some other
like
way.
lawyers. We don't like lawyers. They are a cash grab. And I have a lot of lawyer friends, but I do not like them. They will do anything to take your money. So if you can avoid them, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
no, go
You
ahead, Dana.
yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Okay. Let's say we're having a good mediation. Everything is going fine. How do you begin to move on with your life as a divorcee now? Surely you want to have another relationship if you're so inclined, and then you have to bring another person to the picture. Or how do people navigate that?
This is based on the individual, right? There's
Right.
no standard or formula on how
Yeah,
you
I
want to
know.
do it. Yeah, it just depends
It
on
just
if you're
depends.
healed. Some people are healed. Some people will take them 5 years. Some people will never get healed. Some people
Right.
feel so, they'll grieve for it till the end of eternity. Some people will be like, you know what? It's just life. The next minute, they've moved on. Generally speaking, men move on faster. Yeah, than
You think
women.
so?
Well,
Well,
statistics have proven that.
I think
Men
yeah. Sorry,
men
I
move
mean,
on, though they get stuck. Men. I think they give the impression that they've moved on, but most men are they. It's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yes, I might have separated, I might have moved on, but I still have my eyes on you. Most of the time, that is what you see. They might be in a completely different relationship, but the moment they hear that their ex-wife or their ex-partner is doing so, and then you see all of a sudden they're emotional.
the
We
emotional.
can
Well,
agree.
it's I mean, we're not robots, right? We have shared life 5, 10, 15 years with someone. So you still have some attachment somewhat to
There
that person.
is
Yeah, so it's not like a sterile, dry cut situation.
no.
There's still some emotional connection for what life was supposed to be. You still miss that. But I agree. I think I've read that study of seeing the statistics where men tend to remarry more after divorce than women.
Mhm.
So a lot of women, they're like, I'm done. I don't want to get another man in my life. That's it for me. No, but men tend to, men are more interested in relationship than women after divorce.
Yeah.
I mean, at a
Yeah.
certain
Most
age, what else will you do? Men don't know how to be single for too long. I know
Well,
that's true.
yeah,
If men don't know how to be single for too long, men want to be. I mean, they've been taken care of for 5, 15, 10 years in their marriage. No, they want the same kind of treatment. So they would easily probably be able to find someone to marry or remarry or go on with life, right? I think men are more prone to do that. Women are a little bit more cautious after their first divorce. Most women, let's
yeah.
say most
Yeah.
most women are a little bit more cautious after their first separation. Just like even girl the lost a boyfriend, normal girl. I know you talk about normal girl, it take time before he get another boyfriend, but a boy can end a relationship with a girl
I don't know.
today and
I
2
don't
weeks
know about
after.
relationships. I don't know about relationships, but marriage. I think men are more prone to remarry after divorce.
Mm.
I think boyfriend relationship, women probably move on more than men after that. But marriage, I think men are more inclined to
Mm.
jump into right after divorce than women. And part of it also is the way men and women view relationships too.
Yeah.
Um, as a man, do you want that support? Do you want someone to take care of you, to cook for you, to be that backbone? as a woman, maybe you want now to focus on your career. That's
Or
something you want to
on your
On
children.
on your
the
children.
kids,
Yeah, yeah,
usually
and you
yeah.
don't want to find another person to submit to, particularly when there are children involved. You get what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Um.
in terms of the question you asked, like when is it reasonable to bring another partner, introduce or
Right.
bring another, get your kids to know if you're in another relationship. I don't know if there's a general rule,
I
but
don't know. Yeah. Well,
I would think that, unless you're sure that the relationship is lasting,
right.
your kids, your children should not know
Right.
of it.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I talk with friends who have separated. They will never bring a boyfriend or a girlfriend to meet their
No,
children unless they are sure that this is a long term thing. And you don't want to be introducing your children to people who are
every
temporary,
two
people who
weeks.
come and go.
Every 2 weeks there's a new
That
friend. Every 2 weeks, no.
that's very damaging. That's really damaging to children.
Mhm.
Mm.
Anyways, I think we're beginning to round up. Can we read the comment? And if Yolan has anything to add, she can.
Roger, another important thing
Right.
that I really think we should be aware of is
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons that stir up this conflict, because people think that, or women or men alike, both of them, whatever reasons they have, they think that they want to stir up this conflict because probably they want to have the house, they want to have this, they want to have that, and all of those things. So they feel like, okay, I'm gonna send this woman away because I have more income, or I'm gonna send this man away because I'm the mother, I need to have the house. Honestly, those are the things that stir up those conflict. House, children, child
Right.
support, proceeds from the equity of the house, who is gonna get what, and all of those things. What I will seek to appeal our community is, let's put away greed. Greed is the most important thing that is stirring up all this conflict. If
Yeah.
you and that wife or you and that man have lived in that house, I don't care who pays, who bought, like who put in more money for the down payment or who has been paying the mortgage. The truth is, both of you have contributed in one way or the other to make that home functional. So if you guys are getting to that level where you want to sell your house, or let's say, let's put it in this way. Okay, some men are more like, you know what? You're gonna stay at home with the children as long as you can take care of the house. That's fine. Some men are like, no, this house needs to be sold because I need to get a life.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever arrangement you guys make, what I'm seeking is just get something that is more amicable
Right.
Mhm.
and people can move on. Because I have my own life to live, you have your own life to live.
Right.
And these are some of the reasons that you see we'll go and spend money in court. You go to a lawyer, you tell the lawyer, oh, I want the house. The lawyer will not tell you no. 1 hour, 1 hour,
$200 or so much.
350 to
Yeah.
$400. Sending an email to a lawyer, 10 minutes. And that's how it accumulates. There are people who have gone through divorce and they are still on payment plan, paying their lawyers, paying
Yeah.
lawyer fee. Whatever settlements they have, they are still paying their lawyers because of their
Yeah.
stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
stupidity. So if you guys have gotten to the point where you think that you don't want it, please keep the lawyers away.
Yeah.
If you need a lawyer, if you must need a lawyer in terms of navigating which form to put, which form to how to do the affidavit or whatever, then you guys are not going to fight with the lawyer, but you're asking the lawyer to help you put the appropriate document to
Mm-hmm.
submit to the judge. That is something different.
Right.
But if you guys are going to litigate, oh, I want the house, I want it, the lawyer will not tell you no.
Yeah.
Some of them
They
will not
want
even tell
money.
you the reality. They want money. And they will go to the judge. They know that they will not get what they want, but they are going.
Yeah.
Because that's how they make their money.
Yeah.
In Alberta or in Calgary, go to court. Go to court. If you're landed, most of us are landed. Most of us have degrees. Go to court. Go there, ask questions. Put your buttocks for down. Read.
Mm-hmm.
Read. And you get it done.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how many times you go there, but at least you've saved money.
Right.
If you think that's too much for you, it's a big burden, yes, pay a lawyer.
Right.
But then Now you're paying them to do the legal process for you. Uncontested divorce. Why are you going for go for uncontested if you guys have reached that bottom? If you think that you don't want a divorce, then just go for separation. You guys should stay apart for as long as it takes. If you guys want to make your differences, amend your differences, then that's fair enough. But if you think that you want to move on, as usual, the men want to move on, they want to get another wife, and you need a divorce, of course. We can file in and you guys can go. Because that is one of the reasons why people go to court and they're like, the woman will be like, I want the house, I want to send him out of the house. They'll call the police, they'll do this, they'll set all types of lies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of lies to send a man out of his house in Calgary, Alberta. Except that man is like knife through, like he's killing you before they can send that man out of the house.
Yeah.
As long as you say the truth, if that man is not at knife point to kill you, they will tell you, whoever is calling, they will tell you that you should seek refuge somewhere. If you're a woman, they will tell you to go to the shelter.
Well, because that's really different from what we hear. We hear that a man, even is not his fault, is usually kicked out of the house.
That is the myth.
Right.
That is why you see women get into all of these things and they go and get the lawyers and they are wasting their money and they are having high blood pressure for nothing. You know, we are in a we are in North America where it's a capitalist state. People need to survive. The economy is hard. Everybody's struggling. The judges are not. Most of them are also divorced.
Yeah. A
Most
lot
of
of
them
them.
are divorced, so they
A
know the
lot of them.
reality of divorce. You know, so it's not like you go and you say you want the house or I want this. But no, no, no. You need to convince the judge. What has this woman done to you?
Right.
What has this man done to you? They need to see it on like it has to be clear for them to see it to make that decision. You as a woman, you want the house. If they give you the house, can you pay?
Yeah.
So you take that house from that man, then the man should be paying it for you for what? Were you born for him?
Yeah.
You know, he has his own life to live. If you want to take the house, tell the judge that you can pay that house. If the judge sees that you can pay the house, you pay the man off, give him his settlement, he will go.
Yeah.
Whoever can take the house, they will give it to him. Some cases, they are exceptional cases, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But that is, I'll say 3 in 10 or like 20%. That's 20% where you go to court, they'll keep adjourning, and that's how you're wasting your money. You'll be fighting and fighting. The lawyers will not tell
They
you the
won't
truth.
tell you
The
the truth.
judges will not, the judges don't know your problem. They don't know your life challenges than you and your partner. They will tell you, take the child at 4 o'clock on Monday, drop the child here, as though those kids are objects.
Yeah.
You know, in the winter, I see people doing their things like, oh, the child will go pick the child at McDonald's or
Tim
pick up the
Hortons.
child Tim Hortons. Like, are these kids
Ridiculous.
objects?
It is
They
ridiculous.
make it.
You
They
know,
make
But
it into
because
objects.
but at the
yeah,
at the, at the but at the end of the day, when you present, you like, again, just like Yolan, you said you're correct. The judge does not know you at all, does not care about your problems.
no,
You've brought a problem to him because you two have been unable to resolve it. So now I am telling you what you two are going to do. Since you two cannot decide on what to do, I will tell you how this
yeah.
runs.
Right.
I don't care whether you're working until 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
I don't care whether you have to. I don't care. I would give you a list of things that you have to do, and that is it, right? But
Yes.
imagine if you two could have, if you could, maybe even through mediation, or both of
Yeah.
you sat down and say, okay, this is the situation. I work here. I close at this time. I can be here at this time. I can be here at this time. Then it's a whole different
Right.
thing. It is
If you can avoid
convenient. You can
Yes.
avoid
all
the
the lawyer
stress of,
fees and stuff. Plus you see the humanity in the other person too. You can
yes.
genuinely tell if your other partner is trying. You can step up when they are not. If you guys have a cordial relationship, they can help out even when the judge says that's not your time to help out. You begin to treat each other as human again, and it helps you guys navigate it better.
When I worked at the courthouse, the family court, when I worked there a couple of years back, you would see the difference is very clear. Couples come to court with an agreement. They sat down at home or wherever and they came out with a very clear plan on how they wanted to co-parent or how they wanted to manage custody of their children. You bring a clear plan to a judge and say, Judge, this is the
Is
plan. You
what?
don't even need a lawyer for that.
No.
You come and you say, this is the plan that me and my partner have. This is how we want to do it. He takes it, he goes through it. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with this? That is an order, right? But you brought it to him. Then
Yeah.
we've seen cases where they came with nothing, where they're fighting about everything.
The
At the end
lawyers
of the
are
day,
dancing
once the
around.
judge passes the order, they step out of the court and then reality hits.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we can't do this, right? Because he's not taking your personal situations into consideration when he's making those orders, right?
No.
It
So yeah, I
doesn't.
definitely
It
agree.
Yeah.
doesn't take into consideration. Oh, maybe John is a kid. Maybe daddy likes to take me to soccer games. Oh, maybe mommy likes to take me to ballet. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I like to go to church with mommy. Maybe I like
Mm-hmm.
to eat McDonald's. They
Mhm.
just don't take all those little realities. They don't take your culture. They
Yeah.
don't care about your
They
culture.
don't care
They don't
about
care
it.
about your religious values. They don't care about how related you guys are in terms of in-laws and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So if you can avoid the lawyers, my goodness, it saves your life.
Yeah,
It does save your life.
definitely. Avoid the lawyers, avoid the judge. Do you come out with your plan? Be fluid, be
Be fluid,
flexible.
right?
Yes, and don't say, oh, like at the end of it, these are your children on both
They are your
parties.
children. They are
They are
not.
your children. The judge should not tell you how to manage your children.
Right.
And in the midst of our conflict, our children suffers. They
Yeah.
do. Imagine on a cold like today, it's snowy outside, very cold, and I have to do child exchange, and I'm driving to McDonald's to do exchange.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
It is
Whereas,
terrible.
whereas you and your partner could just say, you know
So
what, the weather
the
is
child
really
can
bad.
stay
You can stay
in
with the
there,
child. You know what I mean? And but out of that ego, I want to show this man Pepe.
Mm-hmm.
I want to show this
and
woman
then you
Pepe.
have to drive in the
and,
snow and go and just.
and in the course of it, you're also
And
We,
suffering.
you're stuck in the
we
snow too.
forget the saying. They say pikiwe no, he say no sleep. Pikiwe
Mommy
say
never
mami no
sleep.
sleep means say he says no
You don't
ita.
know. See.
So in the course of trying to punish your partner, again,
You're
you go through the
punishing
same kind of
yourself.
punishment because both
Right.
of you have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
You want to go through the comments and see if
Yeah.
we
Then see
have
if you
anything to
have
add before
comments.
we go.
Yeah. Most of it on things that we discussed or just from here. So Patience B says, research it will save you from making impulsive decisions that will hurt you in the long run. I think we talk about that. Trial separation is also an option. We talk about that. Someone say add volume more, Alfonso. You learn so good information. You learn. Now, I say I still keep us focused today. Lack of information, we will learn, right? And they keep adjourning the case for lawyers. That's what I learned. Yeah. So lawyers will keep adjourning and adjourning and adjourning while your bank account is draining and draining and draining. Patience again, the well-being of your children should be priority when it comes to divorce. We talked about that. Good topic. Alfonso, we need this show again. Patience, resentment, and hatred blinds people most times. I think that's the last comment.
And
Yeah,
it's hard to get out of it, man.
it is hard to get. It's
It is
hard. I know
hard
it's
to
easy
get
to
out of
say.
it.
We can sit here and say how people should do it, but it is hard. It is very hard to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a certain it takes a level
Oh
of
my goodness! It tests your. You say marriage tests your patience. Divorce does. I think.
Yeah.
twice as much.
Test as much. I think Yolande, thank you for being so gracious. And I think popular demand will want you to come back here again for us to have this conversation. Maybe social media and relationships, if you're willing, we'll have you back again because a lot of people seem to enjoy all the information that you've shared. Anything you want people to know?
No, thank you. Just to thank you very much for having a platform like this where people have to share out, social concerns, social struggles, and a medium for us to pass out information. People are struggling because they don't have the information, they don't know where to start. So it's a good forum, it's a good place to start to educate our community. Our community is growing big.
Yeah.
Things like this are happening every day. women are suffering, men are suffering. We want to make our community a better place where people can live like happily in their marriages. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Please fix your relationship. Forget about all this yes and men. You guys should lower it down now. You guys should take it easy. We have come far from far. You want to be the king, but yet you want us to do everything. Have that cordial
Yeah.
relationship, collaborative relationship. You're gonna enjoy your marriages. So that's the little thing I can say. We should be conscious of our space. We should be conscious of our partner. We should be empathetic in our relationship. Put yourself in your partner's situation and try to, come in at the right time to work collaboratively and maintain your relationship, because that's the first thing. But for those relationships that have reached work bottom, please do it better. Be Try to do it in a less conflictual way. Be respectful of your partner. Acknowledge the fact that your partner has been your love, your what
Father
your
of your children.
he has been your
Your
yeah
sugar and your tea.
sugar and your
Your
tea.
butter and your bread.
So today it is sad. It doesn't mean that you want to kill him or her. So acknowledge that and put the interest of your children at every other decision you're making. The lawyers are there to eat our money. That money we can send back to Cameroon and help our families. And seek help, seek help, seek help. Have open conversation. Thank you so much, Roderick, and thank you, Asa. It's such a pleasure to be here today.
Such a nice way to end today's conversation. Thank you, Yolanda.
You're welcome.
Bye.